Hi there, this is Anthony Gordon with Avid Artist Relations. We're here again at Bonnaroo 2010. And in addition to all the cool audio stuff they're using at the front of house position with their venue live sound consoles, another cool part of the Avid audio workflow that they're using here at Bonnaroo is this massive hay bale structure. As you can see, no, we haven't gotten into the business of manufacturing hay bales, but we do have a full-blown HD system inside where they're cutting tracks with artists who are performing here at the festival. Yesterday they had Tori Amos and The National and Dr. Dog, tons of headliners and amazing acts that are performing here at Bonnaroo. Today, the North Tech Collective, who we'll be checking in with in a bit, are cutting a live track right now. I know the Dead Weather is going to be in there later. So what they have going on here is a pro recording studio that artists can come in, do some live tracks while they're in the mood and feeling great from doing their set up here or getting ready to do their set. And the Bonnaroo organizers will be putting this out on the web. So it's a little bit of extra special content that they're able to provide. And if you're a fan of any of these bands, any kind of extra recordings that you can get from an artist that you love, if you're like me, is just a real special thing. And I think it's really, really cool. We're so proud to be a part of the workflow here. So if you check out this bunch of bales of hay, this is not just to make it look rural and rustic in keeping with the setting of being on a farm here in rural Manchester, Tennessee, but this actually acts as a very simple, primitive, and effective method of sound insulation to keep things quiet in there and to keep the sound from there from interfering with the sound out here. So real simple solution, but let's check out the high-tech stuff, their HD system, and talk to some of their engineers about how they're making this happen here at Bonnaroo 2010. So let's check it out. Hi there, this is Anthony Gordon with Avid Artist Relations, and we're reporting again from Bonnaroo 2010. We're here with Lij Shaw of the Toy Box Studios here in Nashville, and we are backstage in the killer hay bale studio we showed you earlier. And can you tell us a little bit about the situation that you have sorted out in here?
Sure. We basically have about 40 bands in 4 days come through the studio, and we have an hour with each band, and they come in and record a few songs, and we set them up pretty quickly in here, and then record everything mixed down live to 2-track, and master it right on site here in our studio, and then it's uploaded, FTP server uploaded for radio stations. We have about 30 radio stations nationwide that play this stuff.
It's a pretty quick turnaround time to bang out that many. 40 bands?
40 bands, yeah. Band an hour. Yesterday was 13-hour day, 13 bands with no break in the middle.
Wow. So what so far this year has been like a couple of maybe standout musical performances that you've been able to record?
Oh man, I think we were just listening to some of XX that we recorded yesterday, and Mexican Institute of Sound came in last night, and they were super cool. The Black Keys were in here yesterday, and that sounded fantastic. They just sounded gigantic.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's been so much stuff. It's hard to remember. You get to the end of a day and you record 13. Here's Dr. Dog playing in the background from yesterday also.
As an engineer and as a producer, that's got to be a pretty unique and awesome opportunity to be able to record with all these amazing bands.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, just doing this alone here at Bonnaroo for 6 years, it just utterly dwarfs my discography for things I've worked for years and years and years making records, But it's just great. It's a great experience. It's a real reminder about what music is really all about and what's important, just doing things as quickly as you can, staying in the moment. Mm-hmm. The mix itself is part of the performance with the bands and the artists that I'm working with. So it's it's a real nice contrast to the way that we can all get caught up in the studio listening to details and doing recalls and doing things over and over and over again and everything. So
listening to a kick drum all day, you're like, come on guys, we just need another day. One more day listening to the kick before we can get the magic in there.
Exactly. 1,000 kick samples to find just the right one.
Yeah. So how many years have you been doing this with Bonnaroo?
This is the 6th year. So we started in 2005.
Wow. That's amazing. I can't even imagine what that... I'd imagine one afternoon here could dwarf a lot of people's discography, right? Like you did the Dead Weather earlier here and Nortec and...
Yeah. We didn't have the Dead Weather in this time, but we did have the Raconteurs in.
Oh, the Raconteurs.
Previously,
cool.
Yeah. and that was great. It was a very cool experience. You know, it was cool working with Jack. He was really friendly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's great. Let's see, who did we have in yesterday? Tori Amos was in here too, and
She's not bad.
she was amazing.
Yeah.
John Prine was just in here today. Got to record a few songs with him, playing with who was it? Yeah, I mean, we just have so many different artists coming in. It's really quite an experience, and I think the thing for me that is so cool about it is you've got this festival with 150 bands playing here for 4 days, and so they've already selected all these fantastic musicians from around the world to come play here, and then we get to select a whole series of bands to come into the studio, and then those bands are selecting their 3 favorite songs that they want to play. So we just get back-to-back incredible bands and incredible music all weekend long. I mean, it's sort of like you can't miss,
Yeah, that seems like a dream job, I think, for a lot of engineers and producers out there.
It is. Unfortunately, we don't have enough sleep to actually dream. We're working late and getting in here first thing in the morning.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, viewers out there, I don't know if you can tell just from us hanging out, but boy, it's been a long, hot day every single one of these days. And these guys are up here working from early morning till late at night, so that's a lot of effort to make that kind of.
I can't complain too much. We got air conditioning in here. It doesn't always work, but at least we're not suffering quite like everybody else is out there in the fields and everything.
So, what kind of you guys are running a HD system in here, right?
Yeah, we have Pro Tools HD, Pro Tools 8, 8.0 going right now. And we'll do live to 2-track mixing, which is what we use, but then we also split everything off and take a multi-track archive of everything. So we've got, at this point, after 6 years of recording this, I think we have about 200 artists worth of multi-track recordings, times 3, so about 600 songs recorded. And we just have a massive archive of all this music that's ready for remixing when the time's right, if that comes up.
So why Pro Tools HD?
It just sounds really great. It's I've always used Pro Tools, so I'm very familiar with it. I've been using it since it was Pro Tools 4.0, I think, and maybe earlier than that, Sound Designer 2, back in school. And so for me, it just makes sense. It's a perfect way to record. It makes sense to me the way it's laid out. I like the way it works. I love editing in it. I love mixing in it. And the HD system's been totally solid, totally reliable.
Cool. It's kind of hard to imagine banging out that many recording sessions that quickly without it, almost.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I love working with it. Love working with Pro Tools.
So how did you? And thank you, by the way. I made it myself.
Yeah, right.
I'm in the shop with my hammer and my chisel, crafting away at the code. My engineers, if they see this, are going to be very angry to even hear me joke like that. It's a joke. I didn't make it. How'd you end up with this amazing gig here?
The company that contracts me and my studio and the guys that I work with is called Music Allies. They're out of Asheville, North Carolina. I had done some stuff with them in the past. They had something called Radio Bonnaroo going on, where they were bringing different pairings of artists together, and then they do a cover. So I think the first one we did was Gomez and Warren Haynes, and then later we did Sam Bush and the Spin Doctors. So did a couple of sessions like that with those guys, and then they had this thing going on here too with the radio compound, and they started doing a little bit of recording, and they just basically wanted to step it up. They wanted to amp it up and get a real studio going. So I said, hell yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, cool. What's the kind of like most odd pairing of musicians, or like the oddest musical moment that you've seen in your last couple of years of doing this?
Oh, the oddest pairings of musicians? I'd say the Spin Doctors and Sam Bush was a pretty odd pairing.
I wouldn't have guessed that one.
Yeah, exactly. We've seen a lot of stuff come through the studio here that I think I'm fortunately ill-informed, so I don't even know a lot of the people that come in until I've recorded them, which gives me the advantage of just kind of going in, with a fresh experience every time.
Yeah.
And we've just seen people come through here that I didn't know anything about that turned out to be really mind-blowing.